Hello, and welcome to Behind the Brand. In this series, I sit down with NOISSUE customers from around the world and go behind the scenes to find out what drives them to do what they do. If you're interested in finding out how other small businesses in your industry are run, then this is the series for you. In this episode, I'm chatting with Alex, founder of Chin Up Donuts and NOISSUE Bites customer. How's it going, Alex?
Great. How are you?
Not too shabby. Thanks for joining us. If you're down with it, I think we can just run into a few of the questions that we have for you. And you mentioned earlier that you're joining us from Chin Up Donuts, from the spot itself.
Yeah, live from the shop.
I love it. Cool. Okay, so first question. Can you think of a moment where your love of baking began and describe it to us?
Ooh, well, I've always loved cooking. So it's like cooking and baking kind of went hand in hand. I did a lot with my sister and my grandma growing up. So kind of started with just a love of food and cooking in the kitchen in general. And then I am originally from here in Arizona, but moved to Seattle for a job. And it was raining all the time. I needed something to do indoors and just started baking. So it was like everything from cookies, I was into pasta making, and then I stumbled upon donuts, and that just became my thing. So I was just making donuts on the side and bringing them to work for fun. So it was like my rainy day hobby.
I would be very jealous of your friends and family during those times, as well as because it was probably raining constantly in Seattle. So
yes,
lots of baking. I'd be interested because I was just in Portland in the Pacific Northwest, and I was wondering, is there a thing with donuts in that area? Like, are donuts a big deal there for some reason?
Yeah, it's crazy because there's so many. I think like per capita, I don't know the statistic on this, but for the Northwest, like Portland and Seattle, there's so many more donut shops than there are anywhere else, or at least in Arizona. So that was kind of like when I was thinking about potentially moving back, I was like, Arizona needs a cool like specialty donut shop, but Portland has one of my favorite donut shops in the country. So shout out to Blue Star because they're super awesome.
Shout out to Blue Star. Oh, that's really nice. Okay, cool. Yeah, I was wondering. I wasn't sure if it was something to do with, I don't know, perfect weather, perfect storm for donuts, but cool.
Yeah, well, it's funny because when it rains here in Arizona, there are some of my busiest days. So like maybe it's just like a cozy kind of food that people like when it's rainy, coffee and donuts. So.
Oh, definitely. Yeah. Yeah, don't want to go outside. Might as well eat some donuts. I've got a lot of other donut questions, but we'll go to the next official question. The next question, which is, what inspired the name and concept behind your business?
Yeah. So, like I said, I was just kind of started as a side business. I was working in the corporate world and was bringing them into coworkers. And every time I brought them in, people just got so stoked and were just like, donuts. And it was just kind of, I'm like an eternal optimist. I love positivity and joy, and donuts kind of like were my avenue to bring that to people. And so when I was thinking of making this an actual business and company, I wanted a brand name that kind of encompassed that. So I was thinking of just kind of like positive affirmations. So Chin Up came to mind. I made the logo and everything, and it was just keep your chin up. You live in a world with donuts. So that was kind of how the brand name got started.
I love it.
And yeah.
I was wondering if it was something to do with working out, but I guess it makes a lot more sense that it's to do with the optimism.
Yeah, I know. I have people come in like, do you have protein donuts or is this a gym? And I was like, no, not quite. I might like have to do like a series of protein donuts or something, but.
Yeah, your spin-off, Chin Ups for Chin Ups.
Exactly.
Awesome. Okay, next question. What's your go-to most loved recipe or product, and where did the inspiration for that come from?
Yeah. So we do a brioche style dough for all of our donuts. So it's a little bit more rich and dense than your traditional donut. So it's like that buttery, almost like bread-like texture. So it's not going to just like melt in your hand like Krispy Kreme or some other donut shops. It's got some weight to it. So we have, I love all like savory sweet combos. So the one that we've become known for is the everything bagel donut. So it's a vanilla glaze with everything bagel seasoning. So it's that salty sweet. Oh, it's so good. And people are like, are you sure? Like onions and garlic and salt. And once you try it, people fall in love with it. And it's my personal favorite. And now it's kind of like the go-to at the shop.
That honestly sounds delicious. And is the brioche donut, is that the classical way of making donuts? Because I also saw that like old-fashioned donuts are usually denser or more, I don't know, kind of have more weight to them.
Yeah, so it's kind of like a hybrid between like the old fashioned, the cake style, and the raised donuts. It's still yeast raised, so it's got some of that fluffiness to it. Most donut shops use a mix of a yeast raised style. So we make them from scratch, which allows us to put a lot more butter and milk and all the good stuff that makes it rich and hearty.
I love it. All the yummies. I also realized that I'm quickly getting out of my depth with the donut conversation. That was all I've got in terms of knowing donut styles and anything else. Yeah. Cool. Okay, so do you operate an e-commerce store, a physical storefront, or both? And if you've had to transition to opening up both, what have been the biggest learnings from that process?
Yeah. So when I started, I have my little donut trike, which is actually in the corner of my shop now, but I have a little bicycle. So I started just kind of on the sidewalks and then just doing online orders. So catering and stuff like that. And then that was when I was operating in Seattle. I relocated here to Arizona and then opened the brick and mortar shop November of last year. So I've had the physical retail shop about a year.
Congratulations.
This month. Yeah. So
that's so exciting.
Yeah, so I still have the online store so people can order in advance, and we do custom orders. So we do like the fun letter donuts and that kind of thing, so people can order all of that online, as well as come into the physical shop here and order and see the display and pick out the flavors, all that good stuff.
Yeah. Is it was the online thing, did that quickly follow because you realized people wanted to order online, or was it a slow thing to roll out? What was the process?
Yeah, it was just kind of almost out of necessity. I was just having like, oh, you want a custom order? Like, email me. And then it was just becoming like, oh my gosh, I have so many emails every day to try and check and like hand write down the orders. I'm like, there needs to be an easier way to do these custom like letter donuts. So just created that online platform. It already kind of existed. I just kind of expanded the offering. So the letter donuts and the custom orders and things like that they could order online instead of me being the blocker to getting these orders through and at the shop. It was just like streamlined everything. So
I can't even imagine having to scroll through all those emails to figure out what specifically someone wanted to say on their donut. All right, next question. What's the best productivity or cooking hack that you've learned in the kitchen?
Ooh, I would just say kind of like the layout of the kitchen and how important that is, and doing as much prep work as you can. So we actually do a cold proof on our dough. So it's a 24-hour brioche. So we make all the dough the day before and it cold proofs in the fridge. So all the dough is actually prepped the day before and then we have it ready for the next day. So then it comes out, we roll, cut, and then it proofs in like the proofing cabinet. So that's been super big, and we can just like have it all prepped and the dough's all ready to go, and then just like that continual cycle. So I guess it's kind of twofold, prepping that dough, and it adds to the flavor because that butter and milk and everything has time to sit in that dough and just kind of like build up that flavor overnight. And then it just helps us have that dough ready to go. We don't have to prep the dough the morning of. It's all good to go at 2 a.m. when we get started.
Every time you mention butter and milk in these donuts, I'm getting more and more like my salivary glands are just like going off. Can you walk into a kitchen now and just know if the layout works for you, or like do you have a specific setup that you think, oh, okay, yeah, I need this.
Kind of. And it's just like the pieces of equipment and everything that make it easier. And it's funny because this is my first shop, like brick and mortar, that I've had. So I feel like if I were to build another one, I might even lay it out a little bit differently. But it's just kind of like where you can turn from the fryer to the table to the proofing cabinet and all kind of have your zone set up. So
optimal donut making. Okay, next question. How does the city that you live in influence your offering? What kind of foods do people in Scottsdale, is that right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
In Scottsdale love? Like what's the thing?
Yeah, so I love doing any kind of like collaborations with local creators, and Arizona has a ton of awesome like chefs and food businesses. I mean, like all large cities. So collaborating with other like hot sauce companies. So there's like a cool hot sauce company. We've done like a sriracha cinnamon sugar. We partnered with a local pizza company. I've done a pizza donut. So we used their like curling pepperonis and marinara sauce and did this like savory pizza donut. For Donut Day, National Donut Day back in June, we partnered with a chicken and waffle company here, Lolo's Chicken and Waffles. And they're a pretty big deal. They have locations kind of all over, but we did a chicken and waffle donut. So it's maple glazed donut, piece of their fried chicken, a little slice of waffle. So it was like a feast of a donut. So doing those kind of like collaborations that I was like, anytime I eat something great, I'm like, how can I turn this into a donut? So whether it's savory or sweet or spicy, I love doing all of that. So
that's incredible. I love chicken and waffles. I would be all about a chicken and waffle donut. I love that you take these savory concepts though and bring them into donuts. Like that's such a fun thing to do.
Yeah, I feel like it was just it's just fried dough, really. So I'm like, it doesn't have to just be like pink with sprinkles. I feel like there's so much more that you can do with donuts. And so that's kind of what inspired this whole thing and what gets me excited to do this.
Awesome. Okay, so next question. What would be one food that you could happily live off for the rest of your life? And then what about savory or sweet? Which one would you choose?
Ooh. Well, I'm a huge Mexican food person. Like, so tacos, chips and salsa, that would be like my meal. I could eat it every day. And for being the owner of a donut shop, I'm much more of a savory person. I'm not like super big on sweets, which is probably why I do all these like crazy savory sweet concoctions. Cause I'm like, I'd much rather one of those than like a big like pie or cake or something.
Double decker, super sweet donut. I love it. Yeah. I think what we've talked to a few people who make like usually very sweet kind of creations, and it's always savory as like the go-to thing. And I wonder if that's helped provide success as well, because you're not as likely to be sitting at sampling, eating whatever's the cover.
Yeah, that's
I think
true.
it's easy.
Eating all your profits, just sitting there. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. Awesome. Okay. This is great. So next question. Knowing everything that you know now, what advice would you give yourself when you're just starting out?
Ooh, I'm still learning. I feel like every day there's something new that comes up. But I feel like just trust the process and trust the brand. I mean, that's still what I have to tell myself. I mean, I started this like 5 or 6 years ago in my 1-bedroom apartment, just bringing them into work and then selling them when I was out in the rain in Seattle on my little donut trike, and then moving it here to Arizona and opening the brick and mortar. And I do something that's different and unique. So it's not like we don't have a lot of the classics. Like we don't do a Boston cream, we don't do like just a classic chocolate glaze. Like we don't have a lot of those staples that people come in for sometimes. So it's just kind of trusting in my concept and just continuing day after day and not like just caving in, I guess, or just believing that like, hey, it's catching on and people are loving it. It's just kind of getting the word out and being confident in what you have.
Yeah. Because I can imagine that you would have had a lot of moments of people coming in and saying like, oh, well, I just saw you did donuts, so I kind of wanted to come in to get, a dozen glazed or whatever for this thing. Mm-hmm. And to have to every time say, you can't get a dozen glazed, you can get a dozen, hot sauce with sriracha kind of from local vendors would be such a... Yeah, it'd be tricky, I can imagine.
Yeah.
What's the food or hospitality trend that has you most excited about the future?
Ooh. I don't know. I just think how everything is so like photo, Instagram, video centric now. It really makes you kind of push the limits of like, I'm already like all about creative, eccentric flavors. And I feel like people are more so willing to try that if they know they can take a cool picture of it, which is exciting to me, which it's kind of sad, but like people take and get food because they want to take a picture of it a lot of the time, or like Instagram what they're eating. And so sometimes as annoying as it can be, you're just like living through Instagram of like, oh, what am I going to eat next? And that's how a lot of people find out about us. But I feel like just everyone wanting to capture content and capture what they're eating makes me more excited about like, what can I create on a donut that's really cool and photogenic and makes people want to come and try it and photograph it and post it and then kind of create some kind of viral hit online.
Yeah, I guess the visual aspect of it is the kind of admission ticket. So it's like, yeah, great. Like I'll get you to try this weird flavor or this wild thing because it looks so good that you're gonna,
yeah,
you're already gonna get the photo, so you're good with it.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, one more question. What is your favorite part about working in this industry?
Ooh, I think food just has a way of bringing people together and creating such joyful experiences. When I had like my catering side of the business, it was great. But what I really love is the interactions with people and explaining flavors, and people's just eyes light up from like all ages. They just get so excited to see the different flavors. And it's just like such a fun conversation topic, and people love bringing donuts and sharing food. And I think it's just a joyful, connective thing that we can all kind of agree on. Even if we like different foods or different flavors, I think it's just the concept of eating together that brings people together. And I just love being a little part of that and being able to spread joy and just bringing people together with a little space here.
Yeah, that's really well said. I feel I feel the joy that you put into the donuts you make, and it must be fun as well, because it feels like you're enabling a lot of adults, people like me and however much older, to kind of tap back into that, I don't know, that like childlike joy of this thing tastes awesome and it's bizarre and I'm doing something new and I'm never going to eat another chicken and waffles done in my life. Maybe, but this is the moment.
Yeah, excited to try it. So it's cool to be a part of that.
Yeah, that's awesome. I can tell you're spreading joy. Cool. Well, Alex, thank you so much for joining us. Really appreciate you stopping by and sharing all this information. If you happen to be in Phoenix, in Arizona in general, I would highly recommend going to check out Chin Up Donuts and seeing if you can maybe snag one of the fun flavors they've got going on. So yeah, Alex, thank you so much.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
As every YouTuber likes to say, make sure you share, follow, like, subscribe, tell your parents, tell your friends, make sure that your email network gets this, post about it on LinkedIn, check out Instagram and maybe share a story or two, put up posters around your town about the No Issue YouTube page. Thanks.